Hello. Welcome to the countdown. Welcome to another stream for another hour until another Step Back video comes out. Holy crap, I've had a week. We can already see we've got a few people in here. We've got Ace and Sir Zhao, so we're already off to a good start. Oh, and how are you guys? I haven't talked to you guys a bit. I think, was it? No, it wasn't last week. Was it last week? No. Last week I was here. But yeah, I've done some stuff. Abahu Sip is here. That sounds like a new name. The Great Dutchman says oi. Oi. Hannibal Lukey's here. So all of the hello, all of my friends. Carosextacy is here too. Cool. All right, well, to give you guys a bit of a wrap up as to like the things that are going on in Step Back world, I have a few things I can announce. One, if you guys don't already know, this Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be doing Subscriber Appreciation Day, Part 2, or Part whatever. It's going to be January's Subscriber Appreciation Day. It's going to be with YouTuber Isaac Arthur, who does the Science and Futurism video. Am I not live? Yeah, I'm live. Blah. Anyways, okay, sweet. Yeah, so Isaac Arthur, I'm going to be doing a show with him on Sunday. He runs the channel Science and Futurism with Isaac Arthur. Could I do another live stream with Contra? I could try. I don't know if I think she might be too famous for me now, but I'll try. We are also going to have a stream or I don't have to listen. No, I'm not going to listen to a 9/11 truther. Sorry. Anyways, so on top of the Subscriber Appreciation Day, if you guys have been following, I am part of a stream Dungeons and Dragons campaign on Wednesday nights called it's a channel called Dungeon Dwellers, and I'm playing in a campaign on Wednesday nights called The Tales from the Sanguine Isles. But I can announce that there's going to be a new campaign starting in March, in mid-March, and it's going to be every other Monday, and it's going to be a campaign run by me. So I will be the person behind the screen in this one. It'll be really fun. So you can take a look for that in a little bit. Would you rather debate where I don't know Wereaboo or a tanky? So is Wereaboo like a mix of like Wehrmacht and Weeaboo, which are like 4chan anime Nazis, or a tanky? Probably a tanky, even though tankies, I feel like I could actually engage in a conversation with a tanky. I feel like with a Wereaboo or whatever you call it, that's too far. I feel like there's far too many things that we have nothing that we can do anything together on. Anyways, ignoring the truther. Do a video on the Indian subcontinent. Hold on tight. If you have recommendations, I'm open to hearing them out. I'm sure I will do one someday. I have to think about a really good, juicy one to do. Did you know that ignited jet fuel can actually melt steel beams. It can actually remove over half of its structural strength. And then if you compact the weight of tons of building on top of each other over and over again, it falls in a very dramatic fashion. All right, so Varibu is a term for, I guess, anime Nazis, like, you know, the new alt-right people. And a tanky is a term for a authoritarian communist. So like people who support Stalin and believe that Stalin did the right thing. In a previous stream, you said you were very left-wing. Do you have any video planned about the Spanish Civil War? I already did one about the Spanish Civil War. You can go check it out. It's old, but it's there. So yeah, I've already done it. I don't know if I'll do another one. I feel like a more general Spanish Civil War video might be fun, but I'd have to think of a really good way to do it. Don't be too mean to him. He's like, he says everything that he says is backed up with facts. Like that, I don't know. I don't know what conspiracy theories a Bahu Sipsits believes in, but I've heard them all. Trust me. 9/11 Truth movement is a big part of my dissertation research. And so I have read, watched, and gone over pretty much every truth or argument someone could make. Oh, countdown to what? I do this. I think I have to do this every week. That's great. That means new people are coming in. So every week in the hour before, every Thursday in the hour before the new Step Back video comes out, I do a stream. So I just do, I just talk to you guys for an hour until the next video comes out, and then I send you all to it. Question about this piece of art here. So someone has asked what this is, and this is a painting done by my wife. She's getting into painting, and I'm not exactly sure what it is. It's a guitar and some other stuff, like it looks like. But I think this was her attempt at doing something a little bit more abstract than she usually does. But that's her desk. So that's why it's there. I'm not sure about how these streams work. Can you say what your upcoming video is on? Yeah, sure. And my next video that comes out at 2 is a Know Your Fantasy video, and it's about the Druids. So it's going to be about Druids and the ancient Celtic Druids and what we actually know about them and how little we actually really do know about them. It was pretty fun. 4chan's a plan for trying to get the nationalist Sweden Democrats to win the 2018 election. I'm too young to vote. What should I do? Volunteer. If you want to find the Social Democrats, find the Democratic Socialists or whatever party that is opposing these people, and volunteer some of your time. What do you think about Quebec nationalism? All right, so Quebec nationalism. Quebec nationalism is kind of understandable, but still not good. I don't think there's such thing as good nationalism. I think nationalism is inherently a bad thing. I also think patriotism is a bad thing. But either way, nationalism is never a great thing, and a lot of the nationalist feeling in Quebec is the reason why they've been so over the top on passing these, or trying to pass these super Islamophobic laws, and there's a lot of anti-Muslim bigotry. We're actually 4 days away from the anniversary of a mass shooting that happened at a mosque in Quebec City. And it's not a small part to do with Quebec's hyper-nationalist identity. That being said, it is a movement that came out of really being mistreated by English Canadians. So it's super, like, the conditions that they're in are super unfair. And I still think to this day that the Quebecois still get quite a raw deal when it comes to language rights and those kinds of things. When it comes to a solution, I don't know. I think that English Canadians need to learn more French. And I think that French people need to accept diversity. I'm not sure how you do those things, but pick large. All right. What's your opinion on Turkey's military operation? I don't know the details on it yet. If it's still a big story by tomorrow, I might look into it to make my video for Monday. But I don't know. I haven't followed these details about what's going on there. I do hear that there was at least one protest that passed by my apartment building that was of Kurdish Canadians who are protesting it. And I mean, I'm not generally a fan of the things that Erdogan gets up to, so I imagine it's for skeezy reasons, especially because Turkey never misses an opportunity to screw over the Kurds. So I could see some nasty stuff being out of it. How do you choose your topics? I choose my topics by sitting down with all of my work. I have like a big database full of all of the ideas that I come across. And then I give them relative weight based on different factors. I have a whole bunch of factors that are kind of me measuring the success of previous videos and trying to give them a point score. And then I choose my videos on which ones score the highest. That's why if anybody ever asks me for a recommendation for a video, usually what I'll say is I'll bump it up because I give videos extra points if people request them. Unilingo says you're looking forward to my next video. Thank you very much, Unilingo. Do you teach at a university or elsewhere? I used to, until I moved. So I'm actually still a student at a university. I'm a PhD student, but I've had to move to Toronto because of my wife's work. And so now they've given me a job that doesn't require teaching. I just have to bus back and forth to fix things every once in a while. But until last school year, I was teaching the U.S. history course, or I was a TA for the U.S. history course for 3 years. And then before that, I was a before that, I TA'd a children's literature course, which was pretty fun. I read a whole bunch of interesting books for that, and so I have done a bit of teaching, but not. I haven't like taught a class. I've done a few guest lectures. I actually did the 9/11 and War on Terror lecture for the U.S. history course last year, so that was fun. What do you generally think about self-determination? You might have to elaborate more on what you mean by that. Do you believe it's accurate to see the world today as unstable to the point of comparing it to periods such as the 1930s or the 1780s? Probably. It seems that we're in another situation where the country or the world really is starting to fall apart at the seams because the centrist liberal order that has been decaying for the last 40 years is finally starting to tear. And people are starting to move away to other ideologies and realizing that the way that we're doing things now cannot continue. And so, yeah, comparing it to the 30s to the 1780s is a pretty good comparison. Who knows how it'll turn out, though. What's your favorite YouTube channel right now, besides your own, of course? Ooh, so many good ones. I like ContraPoints a lot. I like H Bomber Guy's videos a lot. I'm trying to think of all the YouTube channels where if a video of theirs pops up, I'll watch it instantly. Matt Colville for my D&D stuff. When his stuff comes up, I'll watch it immediately. Lindsay Ellis, when her videos come out, I watch those pretty much instantly. CGP Grey videos, I watch those pretty much instantly. Those kinds of things. Do you like teaching? Okay, so I like teaching. I like the act of teaching. I like classrooms. I like giving lectures. I like answering questions. I like fostering discussion. That is fun. But there's a lot to teaching that just freaking sucks. Specifically, grading. I hate grading. I hate looking at somebody's piece of writing and then attaching a number to it, that number then having serious impacts on the rest of their life. And then also I hate dealing with grade lawyers, people trying to come in and argue for a higher mark. Everything that has to do with assignments and exams, I hate so much. Do you think that English Canada should learn more French? Could you elaborate? Why is it important for someone in Southern Ontario or Alberta to learn French? Well, it's our 2 official languages, first of all. Second of all, it's a useful language for learning to get involved with the federal government. Third of all, a fifth of the country speaks French, and that ain't nothing. Fourth of all, being bilingual is a very useful skill. It is very good for your cognitive abilities. So maybe if not French, you should learn a second language. It is good for helping you think in new and different ways. But also, it's kind of a misnomer to say that there's an English Canada and a French Canada, because there are French people who live in every province. My family specifically, I come from a French Francophone family that is mostly distributed around British Columbia and Alberta. So it's not that big a deal. Countries should get to choose whether they want to be independent or not, or stuff like that. I mean, I'm not a big fan of countries at all, really. I guess self-determination is a good thing if for most situations, but honestly, it's like not a good situation at all. How do you measure the success of your videos? What do you mean by bumping up a video? Oh, if I have a video idea that I haven't made yet, and then somebody like requests that I make a video on that subject, instead of like, I'll just bump it up on the list. So I'll just give it an extra point. And then when I go to make videos, I just take the ones with the highest points. There's other factors as well, but requests are one of the things I factor in. Do you feel you have a play to cause? You have a part to play for the cause with this YouTube channel? Depends upon what cause you mean. I have a lot of things. I have a lot of causes. I have a lot of things I'm trying to do with this channel. I'm trying to increase historical literacy. I'm trying to deprogram people from the hyper right-wing nationalist history that they're taught in elementary school and high school. And I'm also trying to give access to the wonderful stories and amazing things that my history degree let me get, that a lot of people don't have the privilege to take. You know, not everybody was had such a supportive family and such an amazing situation that they could take a history degree as their university degree and not feel like they were destroying their life. And so, yeah, for those people, I like to share the kind of stuff I got going for them. Have you ever thought about presenting history in a more storytelling style rather than explaining and analyzing? I've tried. I try to put storytelling elements into each of my videos to different degrees. I'm successful, but it is something that I would like to do. Whether I'm good at it or not would be more difficult, but it's something, maybe something that's a little bit more narrative might be an interesting challenge for a future video, especially if I'm doing like a biography of somebody. Contra had a cameo in Lindsay's last video. Yes, she did, and it was great. What would you change about schooling other than grading exams like you just mentioned? I really wish that we'd like stuck to like Montessori schools. I think that the Prussian school system is fundamentally broken and doesn't really teach people anything, and I'd like to break that if I possibly could. What's your opinion on Jagmeet Singh? I wasn't a fan of his during the campaign. I was an advocate for Nikki Ashton. I voted for Nikki Ashton. Jagmeet Singh was my number 3, if I recall correctly. When he won, I was a little disappointed, but still, as far as I can tell, Jagmeet Singh is still the best candidate of the best leader of all the federal parties at the moment. Why are you such a good YouTuber? I think that I am an average YouTuber at best. I guess the only thing I can say is that I take it seriously. I treat it like it's a job. I don't just throw things online willy-nilly. I'm very intentional about the work that I do. Have I looked into Bohemian Grove? Yes. And you're right. They're all evil supervillains who have machinations on ruling the world. Oh, and they all just happen to be Jewish. So they're all evil. All of them. All the conspiracies are true. What do you think of Philosophy Tube's idea of a YouTubers workers union? That would be amazing. I think that would be a great idea. Would you consider doing a video about anarchy? I kind of did a couple times with my Nestor Makhno video and my Spanish Civil War video, but a more general video about anarchy, I haven't done yet. And I also am I'm touching on anarchism in a future video too. So keep in touch with that. But I haven't done like a let's sit down and talk about anarchists time because I don't know. I feel like I've talked about anarchism more than most history channels do. So what are your thoughts on Extra History and Crash Course? Crash Course I really like. Extra History I think I liked for a while, but it gets kind of boring because it's way too war-focused. But it's good stuff. And if you like war, it's a good channel. Like, I'm not talking down about the quality of it. The quality of the channel of Extra History is really good. It's just not my thing. I've following this channel for the last few months, found you through Contra. I do hope you do see you do well and get a bigger audience. Me too. Thank you very much. You're very kind. You know, one day at a time. What's your opinion on what Justin is trying to accomplish with Indigenous people in Canada? Although it's Caro's Ecstasy, a nerdy reference to pudding. Oh. Which thing are you talking about with what Justin's trying to accomplish with Indigenous people in Canada? Is it the Truth and Reconciliation Commission? Is it trying to find all those missing and murdered Indigenous women? Or is it building pipelines through their sovereign territory? I don't know. Justin Trudeau is one of those people who uses Indigenous people when he wants to look good for social media, but he doesn't actually do much for them. The Queen is a lizard. Alrighty. Yeah, you're done. Boop. Alright. I don't need trolls. Alright. What's next? Do you think a Type 1 civilization on the Kardashev scale could be a practical solution to the current problems of civilization? Think we could build one earlier than 2100? Maybe not. I mean, okay. We have the technology now to have a Type 1 civilization. Like, it's not like we're waiting for something to get invented. It's all political solutions. And I don't know. Seems like doing the right thing is not part of a lot of people's goals or whatever. I hope we could. I would love to see us become a Kardashev 3 civilization and have our hyper, just be this forever thing. I'm just worried that there's like a crucible you have to get through that maybe no other civilization gets through, and maybe we don't either. Do you think there's an audience for long-term, highly detailed history? I know there. Oh, on YouTube maybe not, but I do know there is one. What's it called? The podcast Hardcore History is a successful long form history podcast. Every episode is like 3 or 4 hours long. As far as for YouTube, I think there's an audience for this stuff. They just have to be convinced properly about what kind of what history can offer besides just maps with arrows and X's on them. And I think that the work that I do is trying to do that. It's trying to say that history is storytelling. It's fun. It's awesome. It's interesting. And so, and I mean, on YouTube, the 12, 13 minute, maybe 12 to 17 minute format is really what works best. And so maybe that's a thing. I think it's working. I'm not sure how far it'll work, but the Exploration has 100,000 subscribers, so it's obviously working for some people. Paul McCartney, lookalike. Do you think lizards rule the lizard world? Yep, from the moon. Do you think we should focus on feeding everyone first before going to space? I think that we can walk and chew gum at the same time. I'm off to class in a few minutes, but I think it's an interesting video. Could be done on looks at African kingdoms' roles in the transatlantic slave trade. Could be something to do. Anarchism is an interesting ideology. It had its heyday at a very, very interesting and fascinating part of world history. Something that I talk a little bit about in an upcoming video. But yeah, I think that it is, for me, an ideology that I believe is good. It is very utopian, which I don't think is a bad thing. I think people use that derisively, but I don't think that's a bad thing. It just means that it's more a destination than it's more a place you want to get to rather than a thing you want to do now. And so I see anarchism as a set of ideals to strive for, but maybe not something that we'll ever actually achieve, or at least not soon. It'd be nice, but I still think that pushing for as little government and as little capitalism as we can get away with will make everything a lot better than it is now. I don't think you need to reach people who aren't normally interested in history. Hardcore history proves that you can be exhaustive and popular at the same time. Just do what you want and the best you can. Yeah, I do think that I want to reach out to people who aren't normally interested in history because I think that the world needs more historical literacy. And so I do try to make my stuff designed to reach out to people who might not think that history is interesting. They might think history is boring, but they get surprised. I'm not sure if I succeed in doing that, but that is part of my goal. Just like how there's a whole bunch of science people out there who want to increase scientific literacy. Will you become the PragerU of the left? No, because I went to an actual university and I'm not a hardcore Christian fundamentalist and I'm not making videos that are blatant lies. So no, I'm not a PragerU of the left. Speaking of slavery, it'd be good to look at common right-wing defenses of slavery. The Irish were slaves too. Arabs did it worse. Yeah. Yeah. I'm not sure what that's about. But yeah. The only thing is that if I made a video on those kinds of things, that I feel like it would be coming close to moving in on my friend Cypher's territory over on The Cynical Historian, because he made a whole video on that. And that was a video that really took off on his channel. But still, it could be something to talk about. I got to find a new angle. Have you listened to Mike Duncan's Revolutions podcast and History of Rome? I've listened to like a good chunk of History of Rome, and I've listened to a good chunk of Revolutions, but I've never really stuck with them for all that long. Favorite strategy games? At the moment, it's Stellaris. I love Stellaris so much, and I cannot wait for the new Apocalypse to come out. Haven't heard of Cynical Historian? You're going to like him. You'll like him more than me, probably. Slavery is bad, no matter who's doing it. And whataboutisms is not an excuse for doing it. Video on the Populist Party. There's there's something that's kind of like that. If you there's a video coming out in the next few weeks that kind of touches on all these things. So hold on to your butts. Have you done anything on the second KKK back when fascists actually got a lot of power in America? My video about fascism kind of talks about it. It's not detailed, but I do talk about that moment in America. What do you think about Frida Kahlo? As far as I know, she seems all right. I haven't... she might be a good person to make a video about. I actually think I'm a little embarrassed to say I don't know as much about her as I think I should. What do you think of a solution to the Jerusalem conflict? I think that any solution, like, I don't know, like to the Jerusalem, like, yeah, the United States should probably not have their embassy in Jerusalem. That's pretty shitty. As for a solution to what to do about Jerusalem, that's, ooh, I don't know if there's ever going to be a solution to that that makes people happy. Me, I'm a god. What are your thoughts on Charlie Angus? I mean, his heart seems like it's in the right place. The only thing about him is that he had all the personality traits that made Tom Mulcair lose. And the NDP doesn't need another middle-aged white guy running the party. It needs, or at least, yeah, it didn't need it. It needs, when it comes to leadership, it needs dynamic, new blood, new ideas type people. And Charlie Angus wasn't that. Tel Aviv is a city. I think it's on the coast of the Mediterranean. What do you think about Charlie Chaplin? I don't know. It's part of American cinematic history. It's pretty important, even though he's British. Oh, no. Hopefully, can you guys hear that? It looks like someone's doing something with power tools upstairs. Hey, it's Greg Amon. What's the big news from Barry? Is that where the PC guy was from? That's like the news that came out last night. And I would love to make a video about this for my Monday video, but unfortunately it's Canadian politics, so no one will care. But the progressive conservative leader of Ontario, so the leader of the Progressive Conservative Party, stepped down over allegations of sexual harassment like less than 4 months before the election that comes up this year. Yeah, Patrick Brown, that's what I'm talking about, yeah. So, Greg, I guess I didn't know that Patrick Brown was an MPP of Barrie. How great is your grasp on the history of Zionism and Arab-Israeli conflict? We'll find out. I'm making a video on that probably in March. Why are you so amazing? I'm not. Trust me. If anything, it's because I make lots of personal sacrifices in order to spend too much time doing YouTube. I'm a huge nerd. But you know what? To make a good YouTube channel, you have to find something that you're super passionate about and that you can carve a niche out for yourself on YouTube. And if you love what you're doing, and if what you're doing is what somebody else has already been doing, then there's a place for you on the site. Positivism. So like this is like some sort of like self-destructive thing. Hey, look, it's Cheryl. It's Cheryl. Cheryl's a channel. Cheryl has a channel called The Roving Naturalist, and it's really good. And she's going to be in this video that comes out in 27 minutes. I'm also very lucky that I get to. I'm also very lucky that I get to shoot in the YouTube space, so I get to have all of the quality stuff taken care of, and I don't have to worry about buying an ass load of equipment in order to do my show. Yeah, so So yeah, we're gonna try to see what happens with Patrick Brown stepping down. That rhymes. Without Patrick Brown, the Ontario election is going to get really weird. I mean, I wasn't planning on voting for Patrick Brown or Kathleen Wynne anyway, so it doesn't affect my vote at all, but could affect some people's votes because now they have to find a new conservative leader, and then they have to find a new conservative leader and make that conservative leader relevant in time for an election that is just in a few months. I don't think that's a great. I mean, it sounds like it's just going to be Kathleen Wynne and winning again. Have you heard about the Gomberg map? What do you mean? What is the Gomberg map? I've also. I'll take a look at rival regions, I suppose. Yeah, a conservative leader who won't get dinged in the Me Too campaign. I mean, I would rather that we didn't have politicians that were sexual harassers or sexual assaulters. So that's good. You know, we dodged a bullet there. Good that we didn't get a premier who was a sex offender or or someone who's committed sexual harassment. I mean, I'm going to vote. Are you a Southern Ontarian? Step back. Asami Kora. Yes, I am. I live in downtown Toronto. So yes, I'm a Southern Ontarian. I live very close to Ontario's parliament. My wife works in the Ontario government, so this stuff is very, very relevant to me. Lots of aged white males looking in the rearview mirrors right now. Yeah. Oh boy. Oh no, a Torontonian. Yeah. I mean, I've been living here for all of like 7 months, but yeah, I live like literally, I live like close to like one of the big major streets in Toronto. So I live very much. Oh, I think I have heard about the Gomberg map. It's about like a potential post World War II world that is. I can't remember what was cool about it, but I do remember that map existing. I took a class during my coursework of my PhD about like post World War II world government and like this like push towards creating a single world like system. And it was quite interesting. The post World War II moment, like 1945 to 1949, there was a lot of crazy stuff and a lot of really big ideas being thrown around. And that's what the course was on. It was really fun. Do you know much about Weinstein? He was a big producer for decades until he fell. How he flew under the radar would be interesting to hear about. I mean, Weinstein has a much bigger thing that everyone's talking about now. You're in Toronto tomorrow for Long and McQuaid for mallets, Indian food, and then lunch, and then Vistek for a lens. That sounds like a pretty fun day. I hope you have a good time. You live on the other side of Yonge. Wait a minute. Asami Kori, did you... I don't... If you live on the other side of Yonge, does that mean you live in Toronto? Even though you don't like people from Toronto? Harvey Weinstein was the person that the whole Me Too campaign started under. Okay. How do you feel about people like Aziz Ansari and what's his name? John Gomeshi. Yeah. John Gomeshi, I think that those are very, very different cases. John Gomeshi was like an actual brutal sexual assaulter who got away with it because our court system is fucked beyond recognition. Aziz Ansari, I don't think any like person would say that what Aziz Ansari should do would result in him, or should have resulted in him being brought up on a crime. Like, John Gomeshi committed a crime. Aziz Ansari did something that was creepy. Pretty creepy. What he did was shitty, and he should feel bad about that. But I don't think anybody's saying that, like, he should, like, go to prison over it. It's very different stories. Can you do a video about Ronald Reagan? I already did a video kind of on Ronald Reagan. I did a neoconservative video back in, like, October of 2016. Yeah, John Gomeshi's free. He got away with it because his defense used all of the things that people use to attack the victims of sexual assault, and it was gross. It was grotesque. Men's rights activists came out of the woodwork to support him. It was terrible. Have you ever gotten recognized in public for Step Back History? Not yet. No, that hasn't happened yet. Well, maybe, but only people who are looking for me already. But I've never, like, run into somebody on the street who knew me from Step Back History, no. Would you ever do a video on the Epic of Gilgamesh? I actually was planning on making one on the Epic of Gilgamesh, and I was planning on timing it for the release of a superhero film, and I was going to talk about how Gilgamesh was, like, our first recording of a superhero, and how superheroes are kind of part of this recurring type of figure that shows up throughout history. Asami Korea is correct that, like, I was a cartoon for a long time, but also I think I've, like, at least a third of my current following came after I made the switch, so who knows? Do you see a change in terms of momentum on the left in recent months? I've seen a change ever since the Overton window got blown wide open due to the 2016 election in America, but I hope there's more to it. But it seems like it's galvanizing the right as much as the left, and I hope that the left can actually get itself together and not, like, become friends with... Who are these people? I swear, like, there's these people who think that I'm some sort of other Tristan Johnson, and they made me, like, into this thing, and I'm just like, why are you inviting me to this thing? Anyways. Where was I? Do you think Trump will finish 2 terms? Maybe. I think that it's more likely than a lot of people are thinking. But, yeah, he could do it. He's, what's it called? He causes so much friction and controversy, but in 2020, if the Democrats elect, like, some sort of bland figure like Chuck Schumer to run the party, then yeah, the Democrats could lose another election. I could see that happening really easily. Because as bad as Trump is, the Democrats are very dedicated to not learning their lesson. Do you think Harper's wife was actually hooking up with that RCMP officer? I have no idea. You saying that is literally the first time I've ever heard about this story. Harper was our previous prime minister. What newspaper do you usually read? I don't really have a newspaper I read. I feel like I'm too young for that. Thoughts about Jordan Peterson? All right. Beyond just saying he's bad. All right. So for those who don't know, Jordan Peterson is a psych professor at the University of Toronto who got notoriety because he got in shit for intentionally misgendering his students who are trans. And then when people called him out on it, making some big deal about freedom of speech. And basically all of the thing about, like, freedom of speech and frozen peaches and all that kind of crap Jordan Peterson's been writing that, and he's been, in the been called into the court of the far right and the neo-Nazis. And even though he claims, I'm not saying that I support this, I'm just supporting free speech, and he sounds like Kermit the Frog. But also on top of that, basically, if I want to get a take on Jordan Peterson, is one, even if he doesn't hate trans people, which I really highly doubt, it's the fact that he's doing everything in this super hyper intellectual way and not contemplating the implications of the things he says has more to say with him being so white, so rich, and so comfortable in where he is that he feels like he can just do and say horrible things and have not be consequences. Two, he's definitely transphobic because there are so many free speech issues that you can come up with that fighting for your right to intentionally misgender people is not exactly the hill that I would die on. And three, he wants to fuck a lobster. He wrote this book where he compares human mating to lobster mating, and it's the most fucked up thing ever. He's such a weirdo. Oh yeah, the fact that Weinstein lasted for so long, Cletus, is a huge statement about just how messed up work culture is with powerful men. She was... Sir Zhao Zhao, he's referring to the RCMP, which are the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Mounties, the federal police. What's a conspiracy that you believed for an embarrassing long time? I think we've all been there. The only conspiracy that I can think that I got super into in any meaningful way was... when I was a teenager, I was convinced by loose change for 2 weeks, but I don't think that counts. Because I was a kid and I wasn't into it for that long. For a little while, probably longer than I care to think, to the point where if somebody told me that this was true with verified evidence, I'd believe it today. The idea that Hugo Chavez and at the time, president of Argentina, and at the time, the leader of the NDP in Canada, all getting cancer at the exact same time, and the leader of the NDP getting cancer at just the time when the NDP was about to make a left-wing government in Canada feels very lucky. And I realized that in that kind of situation, if the CIA had the ability to find a way to give people believable looking cancers in a clandestine way, that's totally what they do. But I don't have any evidence to back that up. But if somebody said that it was true, if it turned out to be true, I would be not surprised at all. Yeah, there you go. How dare you ask me politely to call you a certain thing? I don't know what you mean by eagle or owl. Is this a new meme that I don't know about? Yeah. Jordan Peterson's a dick. That's it. Yeah, transsexual is an old transphobic word that nobody really uses anymore. It's a derogatory term. Unless you're Jordan Peterson, who can get away with saying that shit because he's a white guy. Does nobody here have a job? Well, Chris Jones, I have a job that I do from home, and a lot of the people here are European. Do you think the EU will collapse? Probably. Maybe. I hope not. I don't know the situation. It seems that it's more stable than people are letting on. I don't like the way the European Union functions, but I like the European Union as a concept, and so I hope that it can stick together. Thoughts on Emperor Macron and fucking slackers? I have no idea what you're talking. I know that I don't know that much about what Macron's been up to except bashing unions. The reason why people call like using the word transsexual is transphobic is because it is trying to install, as Jordan Peterson is doing, a hierarchy within the trans community that somehow being able to afford or being able to physically go through the surgery somehow makes you more of a person of the gender that they identify with than somebody who can't. Do you believe in aliens or disclosure? I do not believe in disclosure, but I do not object to the concept that there's aliens. I mean, given the sheer numbers of the universe, there's bound to be some somewhere. But I don't think that there are any other intelligent aliens in our galaxy, and I highly doubt that there are any. I really highly doubt that any have ever come here. Do you think the EU will federalize? That I'm more skeptical about, but it would be nice if it happened. I think it would be a good thing for Europe. Macron called striking workers slackers, and so unions have sort of been at it like, yeah, that sounds like a centrist. So I'm not surprised that Macron is terrible. Where I always was I always pro trans, or was there a moment in my life when I was less transphobic? I mean, I've never had any issues. Like I never had like any negative feelings towards trans people ever. But as you know, a comfortable cishet white guy, I've not had to think about a lot until I was older. And one of the things that probably, like many of my big revelations in life and things that made me take things more personally, is that I've had trans people in my life. I've had trans people who were very close to me. And I've seen the kind of crap that they have to go through. And I when it comes to transphobia, I'm actually very it's one of the ones that, yeah, like to me it's, there are people that I care about a lot who are trans, and I've seen the shit they go through. And so this kind of shit like Jordan Peterson really gets me because of that. How many languages do you know? 2.5. I know English and I know French pretty well, but I have okay Spanish, not really good Spanish, and I know like a few words of Turkish. Do you think new countries will join the EU? Who knows? I think there's still a few countries that are still in the application process, so probably. I don't think Britain will benefit from leaving the European Union. I think Britain is going to have a bunch of economic and political disasters as a result of making the very dumb decision to leave the European Union. I think it was one of those things that British people will take for granted until it's gone and then realize how much they're missing out. What's the most surprising thing you learned while studying different religions? as somebody who didn't really grow up in a religious tradition, I think the biggest thing is that it's not as literal as people from the outside will seem to think, and that religion has way more tied to a sense of self, a sense of identity, and a sense of justice that does a lot of good for people that a lot of people who didn't grow up religious like me probably don't understand or can't understand. There's like a feeling of belonging that that comes with religion that it's very alien to me. Could you change the video from left to right so you will look at the chat? Sure. How about I do that? There we go. If you want to talk about the thing about, all right. So Asami Kora, if you want to talk, like, there's the main thing that this, like, there's a few people that I talked about this kind of stuff. When it comes to like transsexual privilege and that kind of stuff, there's some stuff that comes with like the issues about being able to legally change your name, your sex on your birth certificate. Which I have a friend who didn't get bottom surgery, and she's having a lot of issues with this process. Second of all, the whole thing about it being derogatory, I learned from Riley Dennis. I don't know where she stands in the trans like arena, but she's given some a lot of stuff to think about. Can you do on the history of OPEC? That'd be fun. All right, I'm starting to run out of time. All right. How has YouTube changed my worldview? I don't know. I feel like I've been on YouTube now for like almost 12 years, and I've been through every like thing that went through it. I don't know. YouTube has been around the entire time that I've been like, forming like a real grown-up political opinion that I don't really know what I really can't measure how much YouTube's impacted me. All right, Asami Court, if you want to look at Riley Dennis's video on, I think it's like terms that you shouldn't use in reference to trans people or something like that. It's very recent. And she does a pretty good job like wrapping it all out. So wait, it sounds like, oh, you're doing a play. Okay. Why do you think Britain won't benefit from leaving the EU? Because it's going to lose all of its connections that it has. It's going to have several of its sub-nationalist groups think about leaving. And it's going to sour its relations with the rest of Europe, which means that no one's going to want to trade with them anymore. Trust me, the UK is going to lose a lot from Brexit. You guys really fucking stepped in the shit on that one. Could you do a video on the Austro-Hungarian monarchy? Like, you mean the Habsburgs? All right, we only have a couple minutes left, so let me just get my thing going. Should the UK abolish the monarchy, in your opinion? Honestly, I'm neutral on that idea. If Britain wants to get rid of it, I'll say good on you. And if they don't, then I get it too. It's not like I wish the monarchy. I mean, the monarchy is not something I particularly like, but the monarchy is something that's here, and whether if the UK wants to get rid of it, I'd be happy. If they kept it, I really wouldn't care. I don't really think of the monarchy all that much, to be honest. I don't know anything about Romania's legalizing bribery. How do you like answering deep questions on a YouTube chat? It's hard. There's so much fast. It goes so fast. I don't have that much time. I talked about the Girl Guides in the Japanese concentration camps. It was interesting. Lobbying, weed. I actually have a plan to make a video on marijuana because marijuana is going to be legal in Canada in a few months, and I would like to see what's going on with that. I'd like to do a history when it comes out. All right, I think, yep, we are just about at the end. All right, so here's the link to the new video. Thank you guys so much for coming out to the stream. You guys, I hope you enjoy the new video. Like, share, subscribe. Have a really good time. Check out The Roving Naturalist, and I'll see you guys next week.